Shalom Israel, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings to the elect, pushing the word across the four corners of earth, risking your life to do so. I just had a quick article. I thought it was real interesting. Brother posted it. I'm just resharing it. U.S. troops were told war on Iran was all part of God's divine plan. Watchdog alleges. You have a lot of so-called right-wing Edomites, Christian Edomites, even them of the Bible Belt, because a lot of them are not going to take the chip because they know that prophecy, but then they go off on a bunch of other stuff. They still call upon, cheesy rice, a lot of other errors. Yeah, Christianity is just full of error. It's really just full of error. All right, that's why you got to get it while it's hot. Get understanding while it may be found. Seek wisdom while she may be found. Because what does it say? Sirach 34:1, the hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools. All right, but yeah. See, these people, they believe all kind of other shit. They believe in supersessionism, that the Lord is no longer dealing with his people, that he put them away for good, which the scriptures confirm that he never did. He would not make a full end of them. Paul confirms it too. There must come a falling away first. All these different things. Then the wicked, the man of sin shall be revealed, which that's who, the nation of Edom is. You guys are the sons of the wicked. You have to be revealed. All right, because you were hidden for a while. Okay, scriptures talk about that. The abomination that maketh desolation. But to jump in this article, hey, Christians, you don't know what you're asking for. You want the Lord to return. But it say the day of the Lord, it should be darkness, not light. All right, because the skies are gonna be cloud. It's gonna be smoke everywhere, destruction everywhere. All right, this says to the article, U.S. military commanders have been invoking extremist Christian rhetoric about biblical end times to justify involvement in the Iran war to troops, according to complaints made to a watchdog group. See, Esau is going off the deep end. They're trying to use the scriptures, which you guys are in the scriptures. The whole thing with Iran, it is prophecy. But you're on the side of the wicked. It said the Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has received more than 200 complaints from service members across all branches of the armed forces, including the Marines, Air Force, and Space Force. One complainant, identified as a non-commissioned officer in a unit that could be deployed at any moment to join operations against Iran, told MRFF in a complaint viewed by The Guardian that their commander had urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of JC. It was JC and Yahweh Shai, two different entities. JC is a false idol. Yahweh Shai is the Messiah. Point blank, period. You got to get that name right. He said that President Trump has been anointed by JC to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth. Do you guys know what that means? Do you know what that means? It says the NCO's complaint. NCO's complaint was filed on behalf of 15 troops, including 11 Christians, one Muslim, one J-ish person. The complaint was first shared by MRFF, an independent journalist, blah, blah, blah. Anytime Israel or the U.S. is involved in the Middle East, we get this stuff about Christian nationalists who have taken over our government and certainly our U.S. military. Mikey Weinstein, MRFF's president, who is an Air Force vet, told The Guardian, military members are not really able to stand up for themselves because your military superior is your shift manager at Starbucks. Exactly. They're going to just tell you some shit. This is God, son. And I guess some of them don't like that. Like, wait a minute. All right, which this is why you have to know the scriptures for yourself. All right, you have to know the scriptures. Because I was just talking to a guy. God knows he's an Israelite. Now he's a part of, I'm not even going to say his congregation, but they're based here in Chicago. All right, and then he was telling me they know a bunch of people who went out to Dimona out in this, in the 70s, and we both agreed that was a poor decision. They didn't know prophecy because that land is going to be destroyed. All right, now he knows that, and this is why it's important to have 100% truth. All right, we have a sure word. There's no private interpretation. Because then I asked him, I said, well, who are the Israelites? Oh, it's the black people that were scattered worldwide. Okay, what about the so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans? No, because a lot of them had slaves. Well, they did have slaves, but first off, Jake is wicked as hell. All right, so they might have, but then the scriptures talk about in the law, you can have an indentured servant. All right, but your brother is not supposed to be a bondman. And you're not supposed to rule over him with rigor. Yeah, Jake was wicked. Jake was going off, but as we always go into, and I told him, I said, look, you look at them, they have the same fate as us. They're under the same curses as us. No, they ain't under the curses like we under, which, shit, the pen of Judah is written in iron. That's what the scriptures say. I didn't say it, but I was thinking that in my mind. Shit, the southern kingdom, the scriptures say it, is worse. So, of course, we got a worse punishment. We have to go through worse shit. The blood of the Messiah. Specifically Judah. The blood of the Messiah is upon them. All right, the wicked of Judah, But and I saw he wasn't gonna get it because he kept trying to say they were Mongoloids. They go back to Mongolia. Nah, man. You ain't judging the spirit right if you thinking of that. It's like the sidebar, but that just popped in my head. The spirit bears witness. And no, not all. They don't all have black ancestry. Some of them are a bunch of assholes and bootlicks for Esau, yes. But they are the Israelites. All right, but anyway, back to this article. In a statement, Weinstein suggested that reports indicate an increase in Christian extremism in the military, noting that the complainants report the unrestricted euphoria of our commanders who perceive a biblically sanctioned war that is clearly the undeniable sign of the expeditious approach of the fundamentalist Christian end times, which I'm clear to see what the full doctrine. Maybe I'll look that up and we'll highlight that and go over the mistakes in that to try to edify, whoever got caught up in that madness. It says he said that the complaints show a clear violation of the separation of church and state. Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Defense Secretary, is known for his embrace of Christian nationalism. He previously endorsed the doctrine of sphere sovereignty, a worldview derived from the extremist beliefs of Christian Reconstruction. The philosophy calls for capital punishment for homosexuality and strictly patriarchal families and churches. So in my mind, I said, well, maybe some of these are Jake. I don't know. Because a lot of Edomites, they do try to steal from the Bible, though. But Esau's a HOMO. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it is. In August 2025, Hegseth reposted a CNN segment on X focusing on Pastor Doug Wilson, a Christian nationalist who co-founded the Idaho-based community, blah, blah, blah. Wilson says he does not believe women should hold leadership positions in the military or be able to fill high-profile combat roles. Hey, and that just goes to show you the scriptures is full of wisdom. All right, the scriptures is full of wisdom, because I always used to say that in the world too. Like, man, a woman should never be in power. And you read in the scriptures, okay, yeah, yep. Say it right there. All right, the top part too. Capital punishment for homos and patriarchal families. Yep. And then you read in the scriptures. Oh, that's why. Yeah, but the scriptures say, "My people have not known me." Our people want the opposite. They want matriarchal families, and they want homos to be uplifted. All right, the black woman loves her homo little friend, bring him around. And that's why 2/3 of Israel, y'all had to be destroyed. Because even these, because like I said, they could be Jake, but even what appears to be these so-called white people, they know that shit is destroying them. All right, I'm gonna get to the scriptures. 2nd Ezra 13:1. Because we can go to Revelation where it says it. Matter of fact, real quick. We go to Revelation 16:16. That goes up, talks about it. Verse 13, 14, 15. Basically, it mentions all the forces of NATO and the EU, the military capital, okay, the financial capital, London, at the military capital, DC, with the Pentagon and all the other places there. London, the financial capital, which most of these countries are damn near all of them under the same bank. And then Vatican City, which is where the false prophet, that's Catholicism, which really every branch of Christianity comes off of Catholicism. Catholicism was created with certain things, other scriptures, but then they blended it with heathen customs. Catholic means universal. That's why they'll do, and then of course, scriptures talk about that traditions of men. Right, that's why they'll paint the cross on their forehead, and then they're celebrating Lent, they're celebrating Easter, Christmas. Catholic Church supports homos, that's why they're still doing what they're doing, and they just pay you. Look, you come in here with us, and some, bring the little boys in, and then, they just paying, man. They're just throwing money at the problem, and the priest is getting sent to another location. All right, 2nd Ezra 13:1. It was Satan. Satan hopped on them, and it's wicked, man. Just the wicked. All right, but all those different forces are going to be brought to Armageddon. Basically, I'm summarizing Revelation 16 in that particular section. The 2nd Ezra 13, though, talking about the arrival of the Lord. It said, "And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamt a dream by night, And lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. Yahushua is the heavenly host. Okay, this is written about in a few locations, which that's another part of the spirit. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Christians you guys don't acknowledge prophecy, and or you'll say that all these things happened before, or you'll say that certain things happened, but certain things didn't happen. It's like, okay, well, when are they going to happen? You don't know. Or the Lord said, I hate every false way. a lot of falsehoods in that shit. All extending back to the false prophet. It says, and that's why vocab he called the IUIC. He said, those guys remind me of the Catholic Church. I laughed when he said that. It said, whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. Yahushua. And after this I beheld, and lo, and he don't need to get his hands dirty. Like that vision. Who is this with blood so clothes from Idumea? He said, I've tricked the winepress alone. That was a vision. But basically the Lord is going to fuck him up. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together, and all he had to do is give the command. A multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So you guys are in prophecy. The things of Iran do help forward prophecy for your own destruction if you're not of the elect. And I beheld, and lo, he had engraved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. That's a chariot. All right, we read that in Revelation. It said, I saw a man on a white horse, let's say with a bow in his hand. That's that chariot with that laser. All right, the fathership. But I would have seen the region or place where the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. Exactly. But only I saw that he sent out his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. The day of the Lord is a day of darkness and not light. Now, but that's okay. Y'all you can hasten for it. We can go into this valley. We can do all this. Valley of decisions. All right, the elder out of Dallas had mentioned this in the algorithm, the Ides of March. This is something that's approaching. Could be something important. All right, which this is one event of that, the death of Julius Caesar. So what is the Ides of March day in the ancient Roman calendar that falls on March 15th and is associated with misfortune and doom. It became renowned as the date in which Roman dictator Julius Caesar was assassinated, and further immortalized in tragedy by William Shakespeare. In the play, the soothsayer warns Caesar to beware the Ides of March. The term Ides derives from the Latin iduare, to divide, with the full moon serving as the division point in the middle of each month. All right, which I believe yesterday was the full moon. So the day is different, but that's soothsayers. That's the writing of Shakespeare. But it's just something interesting to consider. It's just the whole timing of it right now. All right, which at the end of the day, we don't follow soothsayers or anything like that. But I just thought that was interesting, because basically his destruction was foretold. Okay, the destruction was foretold. And it's like with them acknowledging the Bible, you're basically acknowledging your own destruction. If you're a part of Esau, you're acknowledging your destruction. All right, the scriptures say at the end it shall speak and not lie. And that's why we have a sure word of prophecy, man. We're not going off of some witch who did some blood ritual or whatever the fuck. Yeah, Hillary Clinton, they questioned her over the frazzle drip shit where she had cut off somebody's face and did all kind of wicked shit, and she's trying to sit there and, pretend. Oh my gosh, what are you talking about? No, bitch, we're talking about what was in the email. Now answer the damn question. All right, but back to this. Joel 3:19. Proclaim this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares in the swords and your pruning hooks in the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And all these nations, let's all get together. Whatever group, whatever faction, whoever you are, let's go. Let's move. BRICS, NATO, all you. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Yeah, the wickedness on this earth right now is exceeding. And we only see certain things, man. It's a lot of shit going on. All right, when you see Dubai getting by, oh, Dubai, it's the Burj Khalifa. Hey, Dubai, them Israelites over there, they still got people in slavery, man. Wicked as hell. They showed a picture of the airport with it was all a bunch of hookers trying to get the fuck up out of there, man. Hookers that got flown in the prince, the nigger woman, the spick woman go over there. They get their little 10,000, however much they get paid, it's probably less than that. And then they pop a squad on them, piss on them, and send them back to the hood with demons on them to deal with you simps out there. All right, look, a woman is women are booty, man, right now. We don't have time to simp. We don't have time to, I want to build a perfect family. We don't have to, look, we're not here for that, man. The scriptures talk about that, a lodge of wayfaring men, pilgrims on the earth. All right, it says multitudes in the valley of decision. Multitudes of people. And they're all going to look up. They're all going to fight against the forces and lose. Lose bad. For the day of the Lord for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yeah, they're still going to be fulfilling their office, but you won't be able to see them. The smoke is going to be so thick. All right, the Lord shall also roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel. All right. So we're going to be, Lord willing, I'll be a part of that number, man, that gets beamed up and called up, after he makes short work of all these heathens, and this place is destroyed. All right. So call Loyam Laya Hawa Bahashim Habashai Bahashim Kakadash. The enemy, they're chasing their own destruction. Beautiful. Let them fall in a pit that they dug themselves. All right, let the sword come back on their own head. Let's go to the valley of decision. Okay, let's go. Hey, shalom to the elect.